Yes, we are. All right. Welcome, everyone. We are live. We are back with the amazing explorer, modern day Indiana Jones, David Stig Hansen, And my man has gone to Mauritania 4 times. He's trying to make it back to the Eye of the Sahara, the Richat structure, a 4th time, as he got held up and rejected at customs the last time. But this man is very dedicated into this research, and part of what he has found, and what I myself parallelly have found, is that the Nile in all the old maps used to flow from 2 spots, and the second being the Richat structure, aka Atlantis. Welcome, Mr. Stig. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. How do I sound?
You sound great, my friend.
I had four browser windows open with that opening music. I'm looking at it right now. I'm still like recovering from my mistake. I got them all shut down. I think we're good. I got the one StreamYard open, I think.
I think you're good. All right. Did you want to start off with sharing the map, or
The
what?
map. I got it right here. Well, actually, you know what I realized just now? I probably should get the full size map. But I do have one. Okay, let's find our little. Where should I put it? In the private chat?
No, just share screen, just at the bottom.
Oh, share screen. Share screen. I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. Let me just put everything in one little window. Sorry. Yep, here it comes. Sharing screen. The big orange screen right there. Is that it? That's it. Okay, now what do I do? You got my screen?
No. Now we're good.
Okay, so that's it. Now, this map, let me give you a little background. Okay, so I did a lot of research about this map. I've seen this map for a long time now. This is not the full map. I was supposed to grab the one from, let me check in Twitter if I can find the one that's the full size, because there's a couple of more things on this map that you got to know about. But this part right here, it says the arrows are pointing at the words Nilus ex Atlante profluens. I put that in ChatGPT. It comes out Nile flowing from Atlantis, not the Atlas Mountains. Those are up there. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Those are up there. Atlantis, and the Atlas Mountains are right up there. So there was an understanding. I don't want to mislead you. This is not a map that deals with facts, in my opinion. It deals with mythology, the mindset of people in the 1500s, and the fact that
I'm gonna have to interrupt you and object to that, Mr. Stig, because I will bring up a few maps afterwards, and it was not mythology. I believe and have put forward the evidence that they were maps from the pre-cataclysm civilization that were being copied over, and that anywhere that was showing where these ancient rivers were, or the old land masses, how things were before the cataclysm of the Younger Dryas event, they all have the pre-existing. For instance, they say that both Antarctica and Australia weren't found and inhabited until, I believe, like Antarctica was early 1800s or late 17s, and that Australia was in the 17 or 1600s. And yet, in all the maps, they are depicted together as Terra Australis, and named Australis as the South Pole, and that it just extended up, and that there was more land and possibly ice at that time, but there was even towns written there. Another thing that they did, which is exactly what you're showing, is the rivers in the Sahara, Africa, and that yeah, right there as you're showing. And it's not just this map, all the maps are showing these, and that the Europeans that were copying these maps over and showing them had not been into the interiors of Africa yet to document that river was no longer there. But now, with looking with satellites, we have found the dry riverbeds in the exact same spots.
Well, not just dry riverbeds. In my experience, there's so many canals out there that they could have been doing this. This could have been terraformed, in my opinion.
Oh, it definitely was. You showed the evidence of it.
And this is okay. So let me just be clear. I mean, let me just back out, and I'll tell you 3 things about this map. Now, according to my research, this map was found in not like a government document, but more of a Catholic collection of maps of the mythology that they believed. And I know what you just said, and I understand what you're saying. But let me just clarify. They believed 3 things. Number 1, that, and if you can see it up here, the isthmus of land that connected the Spanish to, this is before there was a what do you call it? Pillars of Hercules. Before there was a Strait of Gibraltar, there was a belief.
Yeah, look at that.
Number 2, look down here. How many maps from the 1500s show Antarctica?
That's now, what I'm saying. They all do. They all do with that.
And then they try to play the game that it's discovered in 1820. If you check Wikipedia, it says 1820.
Exactly.
It's a joke. And then last but not least, and there's probably a lot of other things you can find out up here in Asia and Europe, but I've only looked down here where in Egypt, where the Nile flows from Atlantis. There's a West Nile, there's an East Nile, and yes, we know that the Nile probably came from Lake Megachad, which is down in Chad. But at the same time, that's not what they believed in the 1500s. They believed that it came from the Atlas Mountains, and the Atlas was Atlantis. That's where I want to clarify. Atlas was Atlantis. It's the same family of words. And you can see on this map right here, Atlas Mountains up there at the top. It says going something to Egypt, but then it also shows the river flowing from Atlas. Nile flowing from Atlas. That's how ChatGPT translates it. And so, I mean, no, I just, this map. Did I lose you, by the way? Are you still there?
I'm still here. And as soon as you're done with this Catholic documented map, I've got a couple more to show you with the exact same thing.
Look at down there. What does that say? Cartography associates David Ramsey collection. I never saw that before, but this is supposed to be from the, yeah, it was a collection. Go ahead. I will give up the screen to you.
All right. Well, we are going to start with an Arabic map. And look at that. The Arabic map also has, whoops, wrong way. Oh, no, I lost it. Hold on. Back to, here we go. So we have Antarctica with Australia, all as one landmass. There's this little area where South America almost touches the tip, and it goes all the way up, covering past where Australia once was. But look what else it has. It has the rivers in the Sahara, the same Nile connecting in all the, oh, here we go. There's the Nile right there coming from Atlantis, going through and down, connecting in. So again, we have, oops, darn it, more evidence of all of the ancient cultures.
Now, don't get a little tricked. Now, when you look at the river that's below, that's the Senegal River. But what you see happening is it goes across.
I'm talking about this one
right
here.
There. Yes.
This one.
And that thick line is the Tropic of Cancer. So that means that they've got the Tropic of Cancer going across the 23.5 degrees. But then down below it is the Richat structure. So they're showing that coming from the Atlas Mountains in Morocco, for sure.
Yep. And so that's the Arabic version of it. that has now come out. And then, so again, so these are North America they're showing. Look at that. Oh, Mexicana before it was Mexicana in America. And again, Terra Australis, and how South America just touches. But I also got to point out, all these maps are well before they put the Great Lakes in. And yeah, look, they have Shalaga, and they have this river that goes all the way, and it's the same on all of them. And now what are they finding at the bottom of the Great Lakes? They're finding megaliths that were made pre-Great Lakes, pre-cataclysm. So humans had to make those megaliths. So the megalithic builders were there before the Great Lakes. And here again, we have no Great Lakes. Look, they're all the way up, but no lakes. And again, another map, no lakes.
It's crazy. And
Right?
you know, you wonder, how is that possible? The only way I see it can be possible is that they're dealing with knowledge that came pre-cataclysm. And yeah, maybe it was passed down. Maybe it was word of mouth, but they didn't have any of that knowledge, and then suddenly, boom, that cataclysm happened. I believe those Great Lakes were formed about 12,000 years ago.
Exactly. And so here again is they have a river going all the way to the continental divide in North America where the Great Lakes should have been. And every single one of these maps have it. And it's that as they conquered these lands and got new cartographers in, they redid how the geography is after the cataclysm. And that's why you see South America larger, and it goes all the way up to Antarctica, Australia, former land ice mass, and South America much larger. Look, they even got pyramids in the center. And again, you can see there's the rivers in the Sahara. And they also have 4 islands at the top.
True.
It's in all of them. So it's being copied by the different monarchs, and that they all had them. And why would they be putting rivers, make-believe rivers in? No, it's being copied from how they used to be. They're not going to make up stuff and throw people off to their death and misrepresent their official maps they're making for their kings and queens. Like it doesn't make sense. The only thing that does make sense.
Go back one map and look at Baja California, the armpit. Yeah, there you go. Look at Baja California and look at where the Colorado River, it actually connects and goes east. Yeah, you've got 3 tributaries. One of them is for sure the Missouri River. Wait a minute, I made a mistake on that. But what is that mountain that's separating Colorado? I mean, yeah, it's old, but it shows real rivers. And those 3 rivers, where are they now? I can tell you right now, one of the major ones is the Green River in Moab. It connects the Colorado River. There's other rivers up there. There's so many rivers that connect.
So these maps are from, I believe, the 1500s, some the 1600s, and some even the 1400s. No, these are all 1600s. Again, look at this map. Oh, look at the river we have here.
It's amazing how they don't even deny it. The river, you can see very clearly the Senegal complex, the river Senegal. Yep, and down there, that's the Amazon.
Right? But look, Brasilia before it was named, Chile before it was named. Like there, it's insane. Oh, look at the size of Tartaria there. Tartaria making up most of Asia.
Yeah, what's that map? That's a good one.
So this one is the
right there.
Natural Orbis Christiani.
Yes, the global Christian designation.
You got it. So clearly, the Jesuits and the priests and the Arab sultans and the monarchs of Europe all had this former knowledge, these former things. And look, so even down here, still, you got the Terra de Fuego, which is also part of Terra Australis over here. And they had yet to go down and see and go all the way around South America and find that Antarctica had shrunk a whole lot more. And how do they have these rivers mapped in here when they hadn't even explored this yet? How did they have these countries named Peru, Chile, Brasilia before they were even created? Florida before even created? Because, well,
there's a couple of reasons.
It was the time before. It's always been.
Yeah. Hey, go. I'm sorry to ask you to go back one more time. Look at Tartaria one more time. Go back and look at Tartaria one more time. I mean, look at that. See this whole Russia, Tartaria, and what do you got down there? You've got that's definitely yeah, India. Just very interesting. What do you think that says right above Tartaria? It says Yatas or something.
Yeah,
Y-A-A-D.
Yatal or Yate.
Interesting.
And you got Turduk up here, Turduk. And Cat Liao.
Those are major cities in Tartary.
Yes,
Asia.
they were.
And then wait, India, and you got India over in China, and Japan is India, and the Philippines. You can totally see that. I mean, you can't see Taiwan, but you can see the Philippines. You can see Thailand and Malaysia.
Yep.
And that red one is Borneo. I've been to Borneo. I mean, I could be a little off, but that's my opinion.
Most likely correct.
Interesting. Very interesting map. Yeah,
right?
I like to.
Like, how are all of these just make believe? No, it's not. It's from a previous time. And
it's not
Gundry, Barbary, all the ancient places.
Okay, right there. I can give you some idea about the term Barbary. Barbary came literally like what was it?
Caravana?
Before Barbary.
Colombia. Sorry, continue.
I was thinking the Caribbean.
Yeah, exactly. But look, it's Colombia and Venezuela are called Caravana then. So it was always the Caribbean in that area. Good question. Is there a Grand Canyon yet? This map doesn't have it. That one does too blurry. Let's continue on. It does not look like they have the Grand Canyon. No.
That map shows the same river system coming from the east for the Colorado River. And I'm kind of curious what that could be. Like something that went into New Mexico, Texas. I'd have to check that. The Yuma River. There's a lot of modern day canals. And there's one is called right there where Baja meets Yuma, Arizona. It's called the American Canal. And I just wonder, was it a river originally that turned into canal? Because it comes from that direction.
Or was it an old canal beforehand? And look, so here they're just discovering some of the Great Lakes. Clearly, they're mapping a couple of them in, and they're trying to reach Chicago. They're trying to reach Chicago that has yet to be refound, and no, it on the new Great Lakes, right? It's like they've gotten to one or two of them, and they're still mapping that there's a city called Chicago there.
Yeah, I haven't really done a lot of research on that part. I should actually do more. And yeah, you're right. I noticed a lack thereof of the Great Lakes in these old maps, And in 12,000 years ago, 13,000 years ago, suddenly we've got the Carolina Bays, and they're all pointing right at the Great Lakes. So what happened?
Right, Mexicana. Right
Okay,
there. That's the U.S. currently, and the top is America. No Great Lakes, but a river that goes all the way. There's no Mississippi yet, but there's a river that still goes to the St. Lawrence, or maybe St. Lawrence there, or maybe that's Hudson Bay. I'm not sure, but it's all the way.
Then you've got another bay at the
Continental
top.
Divide.
Don't forget that bay at the top right there. What's that? Hudson? That looks like the Hudson Bay too.
Yeah, this is probably right. So this is probably the Hudson. This is probably St. Lawrence. And again, still have part of, they're showing Antarctica the way it was beforehand. Okay, so again,
I saw one map I recognized.
The Baja map. Sorry, so I was just flipping through quickly. Again, before it was an island, and they have clearly not been back yet. And here again, no Great Lakes. Or maybe this is them starting to find the Great Lakes potentially.
Kinda, not exactly though. And yeah, you're right. What you see in that, in my opinion, and yeah, you're right. The Baja is actually its own island in this map, and it's a big deal. A lot of people talk about this, but at the same time, I've also seen it reflected as a mistake in the literature and also the cartography.
Like they had the mistake of Antarctica and Australia before they existed, and the mistake of these dried up rivers that no longer exist exactly where they are located in their dry beds, right? All just these mistakes.
Well, look at this, how clear the rivers are, not just on the east side of South America, but the west side. So clear, and then they can't figure out that there's not an island up there. And look at the way the whole coast is very clear. And so they've done a lot of ocean-related research in this map. Yeah, and where are the Great Lakes? So they don't know because they're on their ship.
Just starting to map them. See, like they're just getting into some of them. It must be right here. Or they haven't gone and it's here. And this is, I don't know.
They're stuck on their boats. So they're doing everything by boat. And yeah, the fact that it says Mexicana right there is funny. Very interesting to me. I mean, we do know there used to be, Mexico used to own most of California. But now here in this map, we don't even see Baja. Is that Baja down there? Baja, California. Right. So yeah, that map is pretty
Francia, Circus, Circulus Arcticus. So they knew the Arctic map. They already had the Arctic Circle in before being to the Arctic somehow. How is that? How do they have the Arctic Circle without having been to the Arctic? You got Greenland, you got Iceland, and you have Friesland still existing. And you still have Alaga, but no Great Lakes. When you have the river going to
the Tropic of Cancer, you can see the Tropic of Cancer right there, and that is 23.5 degrees. That's where the sun is directly overhead. Anywhere north of that, the sun cannot go directly overhead. It's at an angle. I understand that, but what is with the one up above, the Arctic Circle? What creates that? Why is that on the map? How do they know about that? I can't remember the rule.
Right.
I know about the Tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. That I'm very clear on. But I don't remember the Arctic line. Why is there such a clear line up there for the circular Arctical, whatever that's set up there? In the, where you showed up in the red.
Yeah, it's
That
that
doesn't make sense.
they were copying that from a previous knowledge civilization of right that would have mapped the whole globe and known the size of it and been able to do that. And again, look at this. We got this Solomon Island, but they don't know Australia yet.
You know, in that last one you just showed, another thing down below down way below it shows the circle called Antarctica.
Yeah, the
And
Antarctic.
Magala? What's with the word Magala? Oh, Magallanica.
Right, and you have Terra del Fuego on the South American side, and you have Terra Australis on the Australian side, right by the Solomon Islands. Just wild. Just wild. And you have Peru before Peru existed. You had Scotland Island. So Scotland was an island. Eric in Luke. Finlandian or something. Finlitz Island. Very, very suspect. Like, why would they just make that up? They would not just make that up.
Look at that one. I like that map. What's that Tartary map?
Right?
Yeah,
Tartary, 1754. And they even have the rivers mapped into Siberia where apparently nobody had been. Grand Tartary as well. It was Grand Tartary. All the way to the Caspian Sea here.
Well, in my opinion, with my knowledge, the term Greater China, that doesn't mean China. That means Greater China. It includes areas around China, like South Pacific. So maybe that means the Greater Tartary area. Look how small China is.
Right? Chini to India compared to Tartary.
And you don't see any Russia on that map, which is funny because the other one does show Russia.
It just says Europe there. You got Persia, Arabia, India, and China. And this is what Japan looked like back then.
At least they
have Taiwan. Cataclysm.
They have the Green Islands. They have Taiwan. They have the Philippines. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good map,
right? Supposedly before they'd been there. Again, we have Scotland Island. A couple of islands called Scotland Island, Faroe Islands, and Friesland Island.
This is a South Pole map, clearly showing Antarctica.
This is North Pole. No, this is North Pole map. And back in those days, there was the 4 islands surrounding the North Pole. And they have Greenland already. And they have Iceland already.
See. Okay, I see.
Very interesting.
I have to take another look at that's a little clearer right there. What's that red line? The Antarctic?
That's the Arctic Circle. Yeah,
the Arctic
Circle.
I don't understand what defines that circle. I forgot about that. Somebody in the chat.
It's the 90th parallel or no, the 7th. It's one of the parallels. It's a certain line on it.
I'm going to do a Google. I'm going to do a, what do you call it? Chat GPT question.
70th?
What defines the Arctic
meridian? It's a meridian. It's the something meridian.
What defines the Arctic Circle? What defines it? We'll see what ChatGPT says. Hey, look at those rivers coming from the islands. But now we know that
exactly.
they're all.
Because there was always 4 rivers separating the 4 islands. One with midgets, one with giants, and Mount Meru, I believe, in the middle, with the black magnetic mountain. Here again, another Arabic map. And look at Baja. Oh no, they have Baja here. What's this island and what's this island? What are those islands? What? What's this?
Well, that's pretty. That's pretty. Okay, so according to ChatGPT, the Arctic Circle is defined as a latitude line at 66.5 degrees. It marks the southern or northernmost point where, at least in one day of each year, the sun does not rise. So you've got a polar night, and the sun does not set. That's a midnight sun. The phenomena happens because of the tilt of the Earth. The Arctic Circle shifts slightly. 66.5 degrees.
66, and then probably the same with the Antarctic, or
right?
Haiti.
That goes in both directions. The sun does not rise. That's a polar night. You probably got the South Pole. That's a polar thing too. The sun does not set. Something called a midnight sun, and it's like, okay, so the sun stays up the whole time because the Earth is pointed at the sun. 23.5 degrees, but it's like the other side of the Tropic of Capricorn or Tropic of Cancer.
Yep. Exactly. There's them and then them.
So I didn't realize that because I don't do a lot of. I mean, the Tropic of Cancer pops up on a lot of ancient maps, and so I see that all the time. But I never really deal with the Arctic Circle or the Antarctic Circle.
Again, the river going to the continental divide and no Great Lakes. Thus, these maps were copied from the time when they were making the megaliths in that area, and it was a river separating or taking the water out. Yet Haiti and Cuba both already existing, yet they hadn't been around the tip of South America.
It's funny they show those on the map.
A more complete one of the North Pole. And then here, this is mind-blowing because this is Antarctica with Terra Australia or something, but that's how it looks under the ice. That's literally Antarctica under the ice. So they have a map depicting the continent of Antarctica and how it is modernly been seen under the ice, scanned, and that they somehow depicted it just like that before it was discovered. They knew what it looked like under the ice.
I got a troll, Dave Schukert. Wow, ever think about preparing? Are we not prepared?
I think we're prepared. And
yeah, I got a couple of trolls. One of them is mad at you, by the way. Somebody else.
That. I wonder why they hate me. Oh well, can't please them all.
Can't do it all.
Here we have the Sahara, and it seems like they have rivers in the Sahara there too.
I can't even make that out, man. And that, by the way, that is a weird little line going into Africa. What is the point of that? I was just going to say that.
That's the equator. or the
Yeah,
believe.
you're right. That is the equator. That is the
Yep.
equator. But the one you showed previous, it showed it going in a different direction. And oh no, that is it. Okay, I got it now. So that's the equator, but I don't get it. That is so twisted. Whoever did that map was definitely on acid right there.
Well, this is from the top. This is from the top down because that's the North Pole, and this is from the bottom up from the South Pole, right? So you can see that's Africa there, and that
Right. So if
over
you cut
here
out
we have
the
South America.
you can make a round globe with that because look how Africa. If you cut all that out, it would make Africa correct, and the fact that South America is all twisted and pointing and connected to Antarctica and disappearing. You don't see where's North America? You don't even see it here. That's very
Right?
interesting.
This part of it over here. Oh no, here's part of it right here. This is North America.
What? Oh yeah, over there.
So
But yeah, but South America part.
so this part is North America, and this part, I believe, is North America.
You literally have to take an
Weird.
exact knife and cut out that lines and turn it into a globe and see how it.
Yeah.
It looks
Oh, and
pretty
there's
good.
part of North America.
Oh, there it is.
That's
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
Yep.
Yeah. So there you go, and it connects if you cut it out at the top. I'm sorry, when I say the top, I mean north of Europe.
Yep. From here. And again, just the fact that they had it called Terra Australis, and it's without ice, and that it connects all the way up too. Like, and they have the continent, the under ice divide of Antarctica. Like, just wild. That's Antarctica without the ice. And then now they've removed Antarctica here, and they've seen that South America doesn't border some landmass there anymore. But
That must be, yeah. Obviously, they're lying right there. You know they're lying. They're totally pretending it doesn't exist. Like that's the beginning of the reset right there.
Yep.
Totally lying. They know it's there. Everybody knew it was there. They look at the map I showed at the beginning.
Okay, here they're
showed
showing Australia.
Jack Wall.
They finally got to Australia.
Yeah, and then they got rid of this. It's all a cover up.
It is. It really is. They knew
Jack
all
Wall,
along.
Hey, yeah, of course, Jack. Thank you for asking.
Very interesting. Tipis orbis terra arbum. RVM, could that be Roman numerals or something?
Okay, so I can tell you what this means right there. Terra means orbis means globe. Orbis is the globe, and the land, terra means the land. So I don't the one on the left, typus.
What's the RVM I'm saying? What's this part on Terra?
You know what? A good question for ChatGPT. Let me type that in there for you. Let me type in the whole thing. Can you back out so I can read it again? I got it right here ready to go. Is it TYPVS? TYPVS. And then Orbis is easy. That I already know. And then the last one is Terra and then RVM.
You got it.
All right, there we go. So it says it's Latin, map of the world, image of the world of lands, to be literal. Image of the world of lands. The first word is image, the second word is globe, and the last one means of the lands. The plural of terra, meaning land or earth.
Interesting. Again, we have
This Abraham Ortelius' 1570 World Atlas. Is this it? Is that from Abraham Ortelius?
Yeah, so this is 1570 they made this.
Okay, that's the map. The ChatGPT recognized the map just from the title.
Right? So none of this stuff was really discovered back then.
Is that that's showing Antarctica right there?
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah, Antarctica, and then it's got Australia still connected to Antarctica, and it's going up to like what's the islands here? Like you got Indonesia just up. Oops.
Parts of it, yeah. Indonesia, all those South Pacific
right?
islands. I like to say Oceania.
Yeah, right. So it's got Oceania there, Oceania, and then there's like the tip of Australia. And what's crazy though is that they have a different island, completely different. It's not Australia, and this is like more in the Pacific. And it's like, is that Lemuria beforehand? Potentially, I'm not sure.
But it's part of New Zealand. But yeah, Lemuria sounds about right to me.
Right, or a very large New Zealand. Very large.
Again, hey, I got a super chat. Super chat. Yeah, they said, "Hi, David. Can you look more at Australia?" And I was just gonna say, Australia, man, that area in the north of Australia, there's all sorts of crazy stuff going on there. I just did a video showing the middle of Australia. The center of Australia has some kind of ridge. Where are those star forts at?
Terra Australis. They are just they shouldn't have been in this folder. We're gonna do them another day.
Gotcha.
Well, like look at this. Brazil. Like none of this stuff should have existed yet. Like they had no idea about any of these. Like going all the way into the Amazon, they're like, no, that was not inhabited. That was unexplored. Yet, they've got the rivers and towns all mapped out in it, like, and cities. But pre-cataclysm style, because this
let me just be honest,
doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't make sense, that river right there, to me.
Yeah, it doesn't exist anymore. You're correct, but it's on all the ancient maps.
Yeah. And just like what's going on over there in the Senegal River. Senegal River also doesn't make sense. Thanks again, MCY4, for your super chat.
Something. Is this New Zealand? Because is that the Solomons or is that Hawaii? I'm not sure. Need to get better resolution. But I think this would be Hawaii. That's New Zealand, right? This should be New Zealand. Is this where Australia is?
That makes sense. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, zoom up a little bit. What's that big red island right there? That's not Borneo. Borneo's in the middle of it all. So that's got to be I know what that is. It's Malacca. Let me open up my map and take a look. Malacca is right there next to that yellow Malaysia island. I was like opening up Google Earth and seeing where I was last time I opened it up. It always takes me to someplace really exciting.
I like that.
Malacca. It's got to be Malacca, right? Yeah. There's Borneo, the red island right there. That green one just north of it makes more sense to be Borneo. Let me just, that green one right there. That one, the green one. And then the red one down below, that's like where Jakarta is. That island is called, hold on.
Oh, so that's Indonesia still. They've only gotten to Indonesia.
It's Java Island. That red
Yeah.
one is Java.
Yeah, so
Java.
yeah,
It's
that
where
is
Jakarta
Indonesia.
is. Bandung is there, and you can totally see West Sumatra, which is that yellow one next to it, to the left. The one to the left, that one, yeah, that's called Sumatra, which is North and South Sumatra. That's basically Malaysia. Wait a minute. No, that's actually not Malaysia. That's part of Indonesia too. That little bit, it's so that Malaysia part right north of that is so clear. That map is so cut and dry, shows Borneo so clearly.
Right, so they're exploring through here. They have yet to make it down here, and maybe this is Australia then, because I believe these are the Solomon Islands, I think, but I could be wrong. It's right below the equator. Right below it, tip touches the equator.
Well, look, let me just remind you of one thing. When you look at Google Earth and you put the French Polynesia right in the middle of the map, you literally have no North America, no South America, no Australia. You have zero in this part of the South Pacific. It's all blue. There's no land at all. So when you say that's Australia, the first thing I hit.
No, that's sunk. That's sunk then. That's not Australia. That's sunk.
Yeah, the Solomon Islands, maybe. You got to zoom into that. And then next to it, maybe Australia and Papua New Guinea. That yellow thing is Papua New Guinea, maybe. I told Crypto Alchemist I owed him a coffee, but I didn't buy him a coffee. Get that coffee.
Shout out Corky. Thank you for the
he got the coffee. He got it. Awesome. I haven't had anybody buy me coffee yet. Go to the north of Australia and look at that thing I found, all that downtown, all that cut up. You're looking at maps, but if you can go to Google Earth, go to the north part of Australia. It's just insane.
You must load it and share your screen because my computer will crash sadly.
Jack Walsh, yes, I'm back in California. Share my screen right now then. I don't know how to do it. Let's see. I'm not sure if I undid it. I got to redo it. Let me move right here. I just want to show you Australia. Yeah, there it is. You got it.
Absolutely. Let's take a look for sure. Because you got the super chat. Let's do it now. Kaboom.
Yeah, he said Australia, man. Look, here's Australia, and when you go right in the middle of it, we found this circle. I showed it in a video just 2 days ago, yesterday maybe. Right here, right there, that circle. And what is this circle, and what created it? It doesn't look like a volcano. It doesn't look like anything really. Of course, it's a conservation reserve. Of course, it's a freaking national park. It's
a national park. And what are these giant lines of clearly they not mountains but trenches or something along it, right? Gotta go back.
If I go, I'm gonna go over to Cal Tapo and look at it there. This is, of course, Pie Town, New Mexico. I don't want to get into that. I'll go to right in the middle. If you look at, you find a clump of mountains right in the middle of it, and look right there. Look at that. What the heck? I mean, come on.
Look at these parallel lines below it. Look below that. They just scroll down a little bit. Right there. Look at all these parallel channels.
Well, this is the thing I have a problem with. I fight with this on a daily basis. You've got to circle a mound, basically, right in the middle of a valley. Let me show you a couple of others that are related. If you go to North America and go to San Francisco, Central California, you also find a similar thing like that. What's up? And then if you go over to Utah, which is over here, And when you zoom into Utah, it's kind of hard to find. It's going to take me a second, but it's the same story. There it is, right there. In Utah, you've got this valley, and there's a big mound in the middle of that, right in the middle. I was just looking at a geologist video on these things.
It's the same parallel channels, and then the mound at them. That's very interesting.
Yeah, right in the middle. And so the one that that one is kind of degraded. I have my suspicions about this, because if you look, that valley connects over here to this valley. That's Utah. That's Moab. I won't talk about that, but look at how clear and deliberate that mound. It's called what is the name of this? I forgot. It's called Sumner's Butte. I forgot the name. And I've been there. And then when we go back to Australia, the place that I've never been before, we find the same situation in the middle of this big, huge valley. And yeah, I do have questions about how these lines are created to the north and to the south. Is it possible those were actually terraformed? And then this thing in the middle, I don't know what to say about that. And you can look at it in Google Earth. Google Earth, you can see it. It's right there. Where are we? Let me back out a little. There it is. Google Earth shows it. And it's the Goss Bluff Conservation Reserve. And you can barely see what's going on here. It's about 2 miles across. So, yeah, and that wasn't even the original reason why I was coming into Australia. The reason why I was in Australia is what's going on up here in the north, the northern part of the Northern Territory.
Yeah, and so what's the islands directly north of it once you're done showing here? Let's take a look just to compare with the other the old maps.
Well, we've got Papua New Guinea up there. Papua New Guinea. You got Bandung, that's Indonesia. You got
so look at how shallow it is throughout there, and that's how it used to extend up, I guess.
Okay, there you go. And that's what I want to mention is that the light blue where we see in the middle there, that represents 13,000 years ago. The sea levels were up there, so this was land. Anything that's light blue was land. Here,
exactly.
Again, this was also supposed to be land right here. And yeah, it's a little bit different, but when you look over at Africa, when you look over in Florida, you can see where that land changed 13,000 years ago. Over in Africa, you can see the coastline. Not a big difference in this part of Africa, but when you get over to the Caspian, what is this called? What is that?
No, that is
the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf was completely land. There was no water in here. They show different parts about halfway, right in the middle of it, where it doesn't show here, but in some of the other research I've done, halfway gets land. There's water out here, but there's land in here, and then later on it's the whole thing. So you can see what's going on. In my opinion, you don't see all this in the history. All that light blue is where the land used to be before the sea levels rose 13,000 years ago. So there's the ancient coastline right there in India. So India had more land. Africa had more land a little bit.
Right.
Especially down here. What was this all about? What was going on here?
Right? What is that?
Well, and hey, I got another thing for you. This island's right here. Check this out. Here's a question. You've got the crotch. You've got this island, that island, which is a country. It's one of the countries of Africa. There's another one. Look at that line. But wait a minute. That's not the way that the tectonics worked. According to
good point.
The way the tectonics worked was it came from here, right? So how did that line of islands come out right out of there? Here, look at it here. Look at it here. We're gonna check it out in the. There you go, right there. Why did that happen?
Oh,
And then you've got these the mountains up here. Look how worked those are. In my opinion, they're totally machined, totally worked. Something was going on in here. And so maybe they were, and then you've got some mounds. You call them volcanoes. I don't know if I call that a volcano. I call that a ridge of land that got caught up.
right? That was very, very 90-degree angle, like, too.
Sorry, I was looking at the chats. Jack Walsh. I gave Dave new arch supports. Yeah, thank you. California. I'm back in California. I was detained in Mauritania for 48 hours, and then at the end of that detainment, my travel partner didn't want to go anymore. Yeah, isn't that weird? Those islands right there and that line right there. I mean, why would it be in that direction? I can understand these islands. I can understand the Canary Islands. But I can't understand why those islands are going in that direction. It doesn't make sense right there to me. Jack Walsh says, I'd like to meet you, shared meal, San Francisco, come to San SFO. Sounds good to me, Jack. I have a plan to come to San Francisco. So we just got to chat about it more. But I'm down. And I love San Francisco food. Yeah, I think that the whole, what do you call this in California? This whole basin, that thing was created. Did you know that it used to be full of water, like even just 100 years ago?
Right? Like,
have you heard that before?
Kind of during the New Madrid earthquakes, potentially.
I'm not sure. I know that there's a problem with this map. Look it over here. What's that all about? That's an artifact for sure. I don't even know what that's showing right there. But the what do they call this? The Central Valley of California? California Central Valley apparently used to be full of water. And I'm talking about stuff that, look, let me go into some stuff I showed yesterday. This is in Montana near the border of Canada.
Absolutely.
How do you get three mountains like that? These three mountains, they don't make sense to me. Yes, they're deliberately placed, and yes, they're old because of the degradation. Then you go down, and there's a lot of mountains up there. I don't want to leave it so fast. You go down to this area here. This is the dikes that I've looked at with the ridges coming from them. Montana. But right over here, there's another mountain I just started to look at. And you know what I found is the same ridges here on the east side going east-west, here on the north side going north-south. I think those are ancient transport roads. Over here, these lines are going north, not north-south, not east-west, but northeast. These ridges are just like the ones I've shown in Colorado. And they're right there in near Sage Wall. Sage Wall is just down below here. So you've got those three mountains up at the top, right near the border of Canada in Montana. Those three mountains are highly sus. Then down here, you've got these.
I have to go there. Where exactly are they? What are they called? I need to go there. I'm going through Montana this summer.
Let's go to the other map, and I'll show you where they are. Not Spain. over here, Montana. Those three mountains are right there. Right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then the funny thing about that, let's zoom in and look at the names. See, in my opinion,
See how close to the border they are. Right next to the border.
In my opinion, when you look at California and you look at this weird mound right in the middle of Central Valley called Sutter's Butte, and then you say, well, who put that there and how old is that? Well, it's so degraded that it's got several new peaks. So we're talking like millions of years old, in my opinion. They put it right in the middle of all that. This used to be water, and that just popped up in the middle of a volcano? I don't think so. But then you go over to Montana, and you see those three right there. No, those look deliberate, man. And they're also old and degraded. And then you go below it, and you see the dikes, sorry, the so-called circular dikes right here with the ridges. There's ridges everywhere, okay? There's some here. Those ridges
are not.
They're everywhere. So those dikes, you can't visit that place. It's all on private land. And there's not even street view. If you want to go to Street View, you can go to Street View like literally right here. It's around here somewhere. You're like, where is it? I don't see it. It's literally right here. You can't barely see it. There it is. There's one. There's another. There's a big one right there. And then you click Street View. And it's like, okay, way over here you can see something. That's as close as you can get is right there. That's how close you can get to it. So these dikes, I don't know what created them. That's right there. We're looking at this stuff. But then I showed you just now over to the right, we got more dikes. They're everywhere. They're here. I just showed you on the north side up here. Sometimes I wonder if they were transport to create those mountains. Now, another thing is Sage Wall is down here. Right about here, maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe down here. So I do think that you mentioned the Continental Divide. I think a lot of stuff was going on along the Continental Divide.
And that's the old Continental Divide. Now there seems to be a new one, which is even more suspect and weird.
Yeah, the Continental Divide, you don't know what that is it separates the rivers that go to the Pacific Ocean from the Atlantic Ocean. So that's the Continental Divide goes right up the crotch, right through here. It goes right in here. And that's Colorado River, basically. But that's one Continental Divide. Earlier, you were talking about another Continental Divide that separates the Arctic Ocean from the Atlantic Ocean. And that Continental Divide is going like right through here. And then we've got another one going all the way up to Alaska. That's the one that I've been looking at. It separates the Pacific Ocean from the Atlantic, but also the Arctic. So there's a differentiation. There's a couple of Continental Divides in here. So I'm looking at the one. Sorry, I'm making a mess. Let's set that and take that off. The one that I found is going through New Mexico. That's Pie Town. When I show you Pie Town before, and I know that you can't forget it, especially in the topographical map, here's Pie Town, two parallel ridges that separate the Continental Divide. The Continental Divide is right here. And you've got these ridges that literally control it. Why? I don't think it's a matter of trying to...
That's so crazy. Like how you have a straight line controlling the Continental Divide. Like
more than just one. There's another one right here.
Yeah.
There's two. And I met guys in this. I met them hiking. One of them's name was the Hiking Viking. And I said, what are you doing? They're like, I'm hiking the Continental Divide. And I'm like, I'm just trying to check out this line, this ridge. And this ridge is ferromagnetic. I got a sample. Your magnet will stick to it.
Really?
Yeah, just like the other one, just like sage wall. Sage wall, a magnet sticks to sage wall.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Because it's iron enriched. And can I show that real quick? I'd love to show it real quick.
Well, brother, take over. Yeah, this is just as much your stream as mine, my friend.
Well, let me see if I can grab it real quick. I'm worried that I'll waste time getting the pictures I have of this mountain. Let me go to my Twitter. Twitter's got everything. So if I go to Twitter, then we can scroll down. No, I'm not verified. I won't pay for a blue check mark. I do have some land for sale in Joshua Tree. Those guys that discovered that gap under the pyramid, they just did an interview at Cosmic Summit. Check out Cosmic Summit. I'm going to be there June 20th. I was just at the Atlas Mountains in Morocco. I was just there, man. I was just in Morocco, Spain.
Yes, you were.
You rescued me with your live stream. It was very professionally done, by the way.
I know. I got class. I know how to not get you in trouble and get you out of trouble in a pinch.
Yeah, let me keep going. Let's see. Where was I going to show you? Way down here. It's way down. Look at these things by the quarrying by the Grand Canyon, right next to the Colorado River. This stuff was going on. So there's quarrying in North America. I was just showing you in South America. I'm sorry. Where were we? It was down here. I just showed you. And I didn't really cover it very clearly because it's got so much weird stuff going on. And that thing I just showed you up here, that's right there in the X. It's 22,400 exactly. Very, very interesting.
Really?
Yeah, that's Australia. Okay, what was I grabbing? I was trying to find something. Now I just got to keep going south. There's Sutter's Butte. I did a little short on that. And the weird walls that are there, mystery walls. What was I showing you before that? There was something I was looking for. He said, look it up, and I was going to do it.
Just keep going. We'll find it when you find it.
When I see it, I'll know.
Yes, you shall.
Long ago. What was it? So, well, one thing I can say about I was here in where is that? Sorry.
That Sage Wall-ish area?
Sage Wall, thank you. Sage Wall. And if you don't know about Sage Wall, there's two sides to this thing. But right up at the top of here, I found a flattened nub when I went. I got to go back out and try to find that picture. It's up here at the top. There was this rock. It fell off, and it was totally flat at the top. That's the back side of Sage Wall. Also ferromagnetic. That's right. That's what I was looking for, is ferromagnetic stuff. And Sage Wall up here at the top, there's some that fell off. It's a flattened nub. So I think there's geopolymer. I think it's geopolymer. Look at this part. That's Sage Wall nearby. I can't zoom in. Sorry. But it's got a little circle and then that weird part inside. So Sage Wall is more than one spot.
I think geopolymer too.
And by the way, here's the flattened nub. You can't really see it very clearly. But what that is the top of Sage Wall. They cleared out the back. Chris is the owner. And he cleared out the back so you can get up there. And I got there before Chris got back there. Mike Collins, I meant to say, not Chris. Mike Collins of Wandering Wolf. He's the one that turned me on to this. And he got great drone footage of the whole wall. But then I got back before he did. They cleared the back. That is a very flat top of Sage Wall. And right here is a nub that's sticking out, and it's literally flat on the top of the nub. So geopolymer, it's calling your name. Geopolymer. There it is again. That's the flattened nub. So you got the top of the rock fell off or whatever, and then you got a flattened nub. Don't tell me that just happens naturally. I just don't see it. I'm sorry that picture's not so good. It's right over there, that nub. This is the backside of Sage Wall. And the reason why I was talking about it was because of what I found over in, it's way down here, is what you call Pie Town. That's Colorado. These straight walls are just northeast of Spanish Peaks. And in my opinion, those are also smoking gun evidence that these mountains just don't create by themselves. That was created. That is...
Those X's are ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that one last thing because I didn't want to take you without completing my thought. Pie Town. Yeah, so many things happened since then. I went to the Pillars of Hercules. I went to up there to North of California. That Sutter's Butte thing happened. I went back to the Richat structure. There's Mike Collins right near my house. There's Ben. But the thing I'm trying to find is, what am I looking for? I lost it. Giant's Teeth. No, yep. That's it. By the way, there it is right there. There's a video of the magnet. Now, I'm not doing that.
That's what you're looking for. The magnet attracted to Sage Wall or something. There we go.
That's Mike Collins. That's Mike Collins.
Wolf, our man.
Wolf. But the same thing, I can go do the same thing outside. I've got the rock outside. That's Sage Wall. Yeah, I shouldn't have. Yeah, he literally did that on Sage Wall. There's the magnet right there. And then you back out and you can see Sage Wall. And that's before you've got the things stopping you from touching it. So Sage Wall, in my opinion, is totally geopolymer and created. And yes, that black and white rock, I can show you many examples of that in these dikes. I wanted to show where is it really this far away? The one down below. There's the ones in Colorado where it junctions. It's
perfectly. Just perfectly. Yeah. Like how?
It curves up. It curves up and junctions and stops. In not just one, but like 7 places. The volcanic dike just comes up and junctions with another volcanic dike. That's in Colorado. But see, okay, here we go. That's it. This is Sage. This is Pie Town. 2 straight. I found that line right there. You can barely see it. And I'm like, what is that? And then I went there. There's other ones too in Colorado and New Mexico. The longest one I found is 3.5 miles long. And it's not just this one. There's a bunch of them right here. There we go. Pie Town. We're getting there. I climbed up here. That's that one I just showed you. And that is the top. This is what I want to show you. This is the spine. Very sus.
Right.
And also and how do you say ferromagnetic, where a magnet will stick to it.
Right. That's wild.
And Shiprock as well. I went to Shiprock and they got these same things going on.
Look at the pyramid on top. There's like a pyramid and something else.
On Sage in Shiprock?
Yeah, it looks like it.
I went all around there. What I found were symmetrical ridges.
I believe it.
Symmetrical ridges. It's kind of, these shots are no good. And then this is the one, Willow Creek. This the same stuff, black and white, a ridge, Colorado, Willow Creek, right on the Continental Divide.
A wall, not a ridge.
Well, they say the stuff erodes away. They say, and there it is on the other side too, by the way. So you can totally
they blew through that to make a road, just so everybody knows.
This is Shiprock. Shiprock has the ridges and the symmetrical mounds as well. 2 mounds, and look at the alignment, just like my other ancient alignment. Anyways, yeah, so these ridges, in my opinion, are the smoking gun. And I've shown what I found in South Africa. I'm going to give up the screen so you can take back over again. But yeah, this is the 2 that are in New Mexico. And it goes on and on and on. I mean, I've talked about this already. So that goes along the Continental Divide. Willow Creek goes along the Continental Divide. Shiprock, very close. And then way up here, these other 3 mounds. This is the stuff I'm looking at most recently because it's way up there. Once you get past that, I haven't found anything except for maybe the Ice Age. There's a couple things up here, a couple lines, a straight line, but honestly, I haven't found too much that makes it. I think that all of the Rocky Mountains are fake. I think everything's fake. I'm very
as insane as that sounds. From my own on-the-ground explorations of the Rocky Mountains around Banff and Alberta, that's all I found. It looks artificial. Everything is freaking these symmetrical blocks. It's like megalithic block, and then like what I also giant guardians and unknown cave systems that look like tunnels, and who knows what lives in them. And yeah, it's pretty intense that the world looks like it was built by Minecraft.
Well, I've been showing these recently over at my page called wasthisatlantis.com. Was this Atlantis? I put everything I find there. I don't understand why that's popping up. Lots of girls in bikinis, right? Where is it? Oh, I see. I navigated away. Let me try that again. Was this Atlantis? Facebook.com/wasthisatlantis. I put everything there. Go to the photos. Scroll through them. I'm going to maximize this. There we go. Hopefully, it does. See, it keeps doing that. I don't know why. So I'll just keep it like this. The stuff that I've been finding in Africa, it just doesn't make sense. But what I just showed you also in North America, also not making a lot of sense. Like I showed you earlier, there was one picture I was trying to find. What was that thing I was just trying to find? What I'd like to show you is this big, huge area right here. Doesn't it look like it was one big, huge worked area? This whole thing, it just doesn't make sense. Why are these mountains like this? I think they've been worked by somebody. And then you look at
somebody or something.
That sticks out like a sore thumb. Somebody put their house on top of this mountain, and they were looking at this valley for years and years before whatever happened. And then down here, what is going on down here? That is a weird angle right here. Now, that I would say is the San Andreas. I would say that's the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault cuts through the armpit of Baja California right through here and goes up to San Francisco. So right here. That's San Francisco? Where are we? I got lost. San Francisco up here. And that's where the San Andreas Fault is supposed to be going. But when you go back down here and you look at this weird lines, Looks
And
like
then look on the opposite side, it's like almost a bit of an inflection. And then what's in the middle, you almost have the parallel lines, but not as much. Maybe inverted on it. Weird. That was wild. Oh,
yeah.
I just got you called me back in 1 minute.
Where is North America? There it is. So we all know that the San Andreas Fault cuts through here, goes between Baja California, and separates this area. So Los Angeles is literally on this other plate, according to mainstream geology. But when you zoom in just north of LA, even here, you see this weird line, like I showed you over here. Where was it? Oh, I showed you the wrong one. This one right here, which I would assume is the San Andreas Fault, to be honest. It makes sense, but it should be a little straighter. But then over here, we've got this other line going on. And then above it and around it over here, all this worked. It looks like it's been worked. It looks like it honestly has been worked by giants to me. And yeah, you got leftover mounds in there. You can't just have a mound just sitting there. That's got to be left over. Anyways, I talk a lot, and yeah, a lot of speculation goes on in my mind. But from what I've seen over there near the Eye of Africa and all this stuff that's going on, yeah, I've been there 3 times. We've got mining going on up here in the north. We've got canals down here. You can see the canals right there. You can see that water wall. Something's been going on. I mean, look at that 30-mile long cut through right there. You're telling me that's natural, that line right there? To me, it looks like it was cut through. I think that's an ancient canal. And that's not even the 50-mile long one. So when I see stuff over in North America, especially Utah, over in Moab, I mean, come on, Moab, Arches National Park, I've been doing videos on this, and you can see where the Green River comes together with the Colorado River, and there's all sorts of stuff that looks like ancient mining. But when you look at this, it says, I just watched that Myron Cook video. He talks about this. He says it's the salt. It's all salt. Salt, salt, salt. But it's so hard to believe. I got that picture from the Myron Cook video. Where is it at? He thinks it's all salt. But I have to be honest, it doesn't seem like salt to me when you find the same thing happening. Everything here is blamed on salt, but when you go find the same thing happening in Colorado, now it's a volcanic dike. Now it's not the same situation. I think these mountains here, and there's all sorts of volcanic dikes, Spanish Peaks. You've got all these dikes going through. You can see them. I think they actually literally use
through the Spanish Peaks. The Spanish Peaks are very mysterious too. Lots of interesting stories and history there.
Yeah, you've got the modern day, the Spanish killed a bunch of people for gold. And then you've got the giants that literally built mountains. Stone wall down here, a new wall that I haven't gotten yet. I didn't go there, but I was so close. What I want to show you right now is, wait a minute. What I got to show you is, let's go to everything real quick. Is this freaking Devil's Staircase. It's so beautiful. I actually got lost. It's right over here. Oh, there it is. There's 2 of them too, by the way. Right here. And when you just go right here with a standing man and look at this, it's so amazing. But it's just one part of this whole freaking mountain. That is the Devil's
But
Staircase.
it's not a mountain. It's a freaking wall. It's wild.
That's a wall. Yeah, that's a wall. We can go and we can get right up next to the edge. And one thing you should know about these walls is that they were created, in my opinion, to control water. I mean, we still got a lot of room to move past this wall. And it's not just the one wall. It's not just one wall. It's like three of them. They've got this little thing going on. One, and then when you zoom in, you can see
almost look like some of the pyramids that they're finding in the jungles of South America.
It goes across the water. I believe that wall was controlling this river, Kuchara's river, right there. And you can see the wall on the other side of the river continue. The same thing happens at Willow Creek, where I just showed you earlier. And that's one wall of so many coming out, stretching down. The north-south wall here. This one is literally going north-south, right here. This one, I really believe that the axis of the earth must have been north-south for this. And this thing right here, you can see where they stopped and then started up again. And that little thing right there, I can show you that in other places along these walls where they stopped and they started up again. Not here. Over here, you got another wall. They're everywhere. And they're supposed to be natural. And then you've got over here other stuff.
Look at that giant mound. That looks like almost pyramidal. Oh, no, never mind. That's a whole ridge.
Silver Mountain? Well, don't forget Sutter's Butte, which is right here.
Anything that's a butte is pretty much like leftover remnants. Anything called devils, anything leftover remnants. Anything that's a national park, leftover remnants. And that's why they always send a guide with you. You're not allowed to go into the national park hiking without the guide, and they won't let you go off trail. It's not to disturb nature. It's so you don't see what's hidden behind the next valley or carved into the next mountain, etc.
I went to this arch right here. I don't think you can get the line. That arch, that was man-made for sure. And yeah, the ridges, these walls are right along that whole area, but then they don't match up. I don't get it. I don't know. I think it was part of a construction thing. You can see these lines everywhere you look. They're all pointing at the mountain. I sometimes think these mountains were created. Why? Because they reach the snow. They reach the rain. They control the weather. They grab the water. And that water down, and then they put these lines down like this, which I showed you earlier. And those are grabbing that water and pushing it where they want it to go. It's all water management, in my opinion. Although
it's not opinion, it's doing it one way or another, and it's like the chances that nature, like it's too engineered. It's either made by God or made by giants or made by aliens, or made by past super advanced humans. That's the four choices, I think.
That's four corners right there. That's where they have four corners. Four states together.
On that. Please zoom in on that area and let's take a look around there for some suspects.
Well, I don't think four corners is a good. I mean, you got Utah, Colorado,
a little further out, though. A little further out.
Well, what about right down here? Right down here. When you zoom out, you see right down here all sorts of ridges. That's Shiprock. In my opinion, the ancient equator was there, and that line was going the ancient east-west direction. You've got a mound on both sides of it. And then you've got on the other side, this one coming straight out. Then these ridges, I don't know what to say about those. They call that volcano wall. That is one incredible ridge. I drove right along that. I found an ancient burial ground, like thousands of years old burial ground. And then I tried to go this way, and my truck started to get a little stuck. I may have grabbed one sample in there. Yeah, Ship Rock. Ship Rock is taller than Devil's Tower.
Very interesting spot.
And I am highly sus.
Titan tree? Maybe.
Say again?
Is it the root of a Titan tree? Maybe.
Oh, I see. I'm not really too jiving with the ancient tree, especially when we talk about Devil's Tower. Where is Devil's Tower, anyways? Devil's Tower. They don't even want to show you, right? They want to hide it from you. We got to go to maps.
Yep.
Devil's Tower National Monument. Where is it? Along 24. Is it Wyoming?
I don't know. I am
Wyoming.
I guess I'm going to have to learn that if I am leading the Alberta for America party and become the 51st state up here.
Yeah.
All of America's national monuments.
It's right here. And where is it? Highway 24, Devil's Tower, National Monument. I mean, I find it highly sus. Devil's Tower.
Old national monuments, like, doesn't that mean that's got to be like something that was built potentially out? See, that one definitely kind of looks like a tree, but then again, trees are made of rings, and that's all basalt, a straight hexagon line down, and you never see that in trees. So that I'm not sure.
And nor do I claim to be sure. I mean, come on. But what I see is the explanation that they give, the geological explanation they give, just doesn't add up. And every time I look it up,
Pilot Mountain has rings, then Pilot Mountain is 100% a tree stump then.
According to them, this whole area had to have eroded away. Do you believe that? I don't. Because you see the mountains.
Well, where's all the basalt? Where's all that hard, very hard on the Mohs scale of hardness, hard basalt? Where did that hard basalt erode away to? Where, like, if it was all basalt, where did all of that basalt go to, right? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Look, I went over to Sutter's Butte in California, the place in the Central Valley I mentioned, and it was all lava rock. But where was the volcano? It wasn't there. It wasn't adding up. Turn this over. Lots of blue lines, and there's our Great Lakes. It seems like this is the one that most of them are pointing at right there.
And isn't there like a massive flow and like what looks like just devastation all the way down from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of America now?
Well, you've got Carolina Bays in Texas, New Mexico, Omaha, Nebraska. This thing is that mound in the middle of Central California. And when you go in here, there's ancient walls going all over this place. This lot not as old as the mound itself. And the thing I think it's just old. It's like got to be 1 million years old or older. And it's like these mounds have turned from one big mound into several smaller mounds. That takes millions of years, in my opinion. Unless something happened a lot faster, like flooding. So, yeah, I think these guys, whoever created this was doing something else.
Ooh, was that the area where or could be part of where Randall Carlson was showing the big flood?
Oh, that's
more.
That's in Washington. that's up
What's that
here.
giant under fucking ocean wall too that's appearing there? That's interesting.
I'm sorry, up here in Washington.
Just zoom out a little bit and look into the ocean, and there seems to. Oh, sorry, you're zooming in first. All good.
Well, I'm up in the Seattle area. I'm not really familiar with that area. I'm kind of looking for that Randall Carlson flood basin, and I thought it was over here. Maybe it's
The Columbia Basin, I believe. The Columbia. Yeah, it'd be right there down right where you first were, I think, the Columbia Basin.
well, I'm seeing a straight line here, and when I see straight lines, I kind of think that they were put there years ago. But anyways, and when you see a city right next to the straight line and there's water, it all seems to add up.
It does. Ancient canals being repurposed by the inheritors.
Is it up here? What he's talking about?
We'll look into it another time. I want to show one last thing here before we
All right, yeah.
around.
Well, I can't believe it. We've been here. I usually fall asleep about 3 hours ago. Let me get out of here and let you get back over.
So just some more what we will designate as sus geology. Most likely terraformed and a combination of geopolymer on an extremely large scale. And this is looking into the Grand Canyon. And it's like, you almost got a face right here, but then you zoom in more and you do have a pyramid right here. And you have another possible pyramid right here. And then you have these walls. And you have mega blocks and terraces and mega blocks. And then you have more. And then you have more pyramid-like. And then you have what look like temple entrances. And you have 90 degrees and 90 degrees, 90 degrees. And that's definitely a face with an elongated hat right there. The dark color, you got the eyes, the brow, the nose, the mouth. And like, look at that. Nose, eyes, brows, mouth. And that's like a helmet or hat in a completely different color. Very interesting. All right, next one. Look at this. Straight up pyramid, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree. On top, another pyramid here, and another 90 degree. This is literally the making of mountains. Have Isis Temple with the grand entrance before it was covered up. You have what look like these carved door entrances in down here, the squares. Everything 90-degree step up. And what potentially are old rune carvings of giant figures on the sides. Another entrance up here into the temple called Isis Temple. Like, kind of looks like doors and different old monuments potentially. Very suspect. Like, very, very suspect. Again, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. All different labeled temples, all very pyramidal with giant headstones and what could be giant carvings in the walls and straight pyramidal and temple mountains. Zoom in. These could be very eroded carvings.
You can't get there. You can't visit there.
You can't fly down over it. You can't fly over it. You can't hike into it. It is all completely off limits. Yeah, look, those looks like carvings. These look like carvings all over it. And it is all block-like. And you have paths carved in. Look at that. Freaking path all the way through. Crumpled over giant megalithic from the top carvings. Look, that's a carving there. Another one potentially there. Look at this path in. Straight in there. Potential eroded faces there. Very, very sus, to say least. Right? You're 90 degrees, pyramids everywhere. And like,
And
are those a bunch
the Colorado River? The Colorado River. Yeah. It's the homes of the miners, in my opinion. The ancient terraformers built those temples.
They definitely did. And the question is, are they still living there, right? Like, what the heck is going on? It's under mountains and we're not allowed to go. And that's a step pyramid, 100%, all the way up with the pyramid on the top and whatever the headstone monument is. Looks like faces, potentially, or animal faces. Giant blocks, giant megalithic blocks throughout. Look at that.
No, and I really do have a question about the way those surfaces were created. And yeah, how that amphitheater, the curved wall, was created. I think that there was a lot. I think it's all mining. But yeah, they did it and they had to live there. And so they created their homes and their temples there.
Exactly, right? They mined it and then they built. As they mined, they built. Like, is that a giant golden Buddha reflecting right there? Maybe. I don't know.
Let's be honest, where they chose to live first is where they were the longest. So that right there is probably the oldest. That's why it's the most degraded. And yeah, where does that cave go?
Right? Another angle, the back side of the same Isis temple. Is that an entrance with a face carving? Look at this wall separating other buildings. And this would have all been dammed up with water and been like an oasis for agriculture and all sorts of stuff. And like all these terraces, they could have had planted food. Like this could have literally been the Garden of Eden with a giant inland freshwater sea that's the Colorado River, but that this was just the Venice pyramid capital of the world. Close by, this is Pyramid Lake, and look at this. It has to be inside of geopolymer orb and the backside of the Sphinx of Pyramid Lake, Nevada. This is supposedly taken from inside the Grand Canyon. I believe this is on the Temple of Ra. And if that can be confirmed, that is a straight up step pyramid. And look, is this a carving right here? Like face, shoulders, arms, everything, and then other ones there. And this is now that entrance has been covered up. This was installed by the rescue team to the airplane accident in the 60s of ice in the Grand Canyon. And it's the only airplane. So in 2001, airplanes were magically able to destroy buildings for the first time. But in the 1960s or late 1950s, airplanes also magically built giant walls to cover up cave entrances on a temple called Isis. And then you see Isis temple, you have Cheops pyramid next to it, and you have Shiva temple next to it. And it's like, is that a carving right there? Could be. Why are they all pyramidal? Why are they all called temples and pyramids? And so this is supposedly a cave with crazy like oxide. That's oxide. So there's metal coming out. Very, very suspect. And how are the sides that the water should have rounded being so square and rectangular? Makes no sense with their official narrative. Angel's Window, north rim of the Grand Canyon. So that is definitely a entrance in.
Look, if I hadn't seen what I've seen, if I haven't seen what I've already researched, starting in South Africa and ending up in the Grand Canyon, I wouldn't believe any of this. But because I definitely think somebody was there terraforming a million years ago, and that complex that you're showing is right in the middle of it. Obviously, they were creating homes, buildings, temples.
And like the water line would have been up to here, right? Like this would have been the water, and everything else inland lakes, if not higher. Again, we got another square.
They probably, I believe, they
pyramid
with
structure.
They took the mining activities
here.
They needed water for that mining activity, and so they dammed up the river so they could have high pressure.
Look at this perfect pyramid right here. That is a perfect pyramid. Look at the shadow. It is a perfect pyramid.
And then there's a mound I found that's not really. The one I found is up the road a little bit. It's not that close, maybe 20 miles away, but it's clearly a carved mound. They did it on purpose when they were mining all this other stuff around.
You can see it's like a face here with the helmet on from this angle. That's wild.
And I think that stuff at the very top is sometimes put up there.
One of the many entrances in from the river. And just how is it eroded into such perfect 90-degree angles? Very interesting.
You see it all over when you drive through there. And I didn't drive through there, that part, but I drove near the book cliffs.
Now here, this is the ultimate evidence to support my claims that this is not a natural occurrence. You don't have this red sandstone and white limestone both making perfect walls next to each other, which is the perfect dam that got broken, and it would have been all water, right? Like Colorado River,
stopping the water.
Something broke the dam there. Like, look, you can see the water lines where it used to hold it back, and what looked like mining or structure, right? As well as straight here, and yeah, it got. The dam broke, it flooded out and eroded. This is what it originally looked like as a side.
And strata doesn't
pyramid right there.
90 degrees up. The strata you're seeing down below the strata. Right there. Yeah, those lines. They don't just go perpendicularly up naturally like that.
No.
And to me, that looks just like the walls that I've been looking at, meaning that was created.
It really does.
And look at that straight line.
Just wild. See, like, it's got to be. That's the evidence right there. And the Colorado's right close, but this was just one of the channels that was dammed up, right? So it's like from here all the way up the Colorado, And this is just one of the areas of the dam that broke that led to the emptying of this once just megatropolis, I guess I would say. Super
Definitely.
ancient, super,
Yeah.
very,
Suspect.
very suspect to say the Hermit Forum, Super Group, Halibab, like the names of everything in here just also, it's like it makes no sense unless they're the original names and that Solomon's mine is actually in the Grand Canyon because there's the Temple of Solomon in here. Right? Like it's wild. There's so much in here. And so here's the cover up of that original entrance. Here it's a bit covered up again. Like that used to be a giant opening. Like, are these giant carved figures here potentially? And did they take bombs and bomb the heck out of it to try to deface it at some point? On top of all the ridiculous amount of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years of natural weathering for the age of whatever this is, if not millions, who knows? Very, very suspect.
Well, I think these ancient people, they went up in there and they did it one time. They went in there, they did their job, and then the rest of it is erosion and weathering. And yeah, it's very highly suspect. Again, I've seen all the quarrying is up there at the top. I've seen the quarrying in Joshua Tree and all these areas. A lot of people are, what's this one saying? Talk to the Havasupai people about this. Barely have the chance. I mean, a lot of them don't even know about this stuff. When you're talking about the Aboriginals, and I'm looking at the chat specifically, says, have you talked to any of the Havasupai people about this? I say, even those people, they don't know. They don't know what's going on. They haven't looked at Google Earth.
We got to talk to the wisdom keepers in their tribes and lands. That's what I got to do. Interview some of them's. It's just so suspect and crazy, and obviously lots of erosion and weathering over actual time, but definitely not what carved these perfect terraces everywhere.
Yeah, the terracing is common. You see that in South Africa. You see it everywhere. And yeah, here too. And
Yeah.
I believe the terracing is part of the whole deal. Obviously, they're taking blocks away from there. Look at that. Looks like a lion.
Right? Everywhere. It's like everything is just eroded monuments. And mined. And it's just, why would they give them these names? Why would they prevent people from going? Why would they freaking cover up this cave entrance? Why is Kincaid's story true? Why is this pyramid there? You can see the others in the back. It's like there's only one answer why they filled this in.
It's filled in now, hey?
This is completely filled in. They filled it in. When they used a plane crash in the Grand Canyon as an excuse to go in and do a giant expedition for 2 years to build a wall that covered this and claim that it was the plane crash that did that somehow. It's absolutely Wild. Very, very eroded, ancient, mined, constructed. Do y'all see the face here?
I
I
do.
don't know. I definitely do too. And on that note, we got to end it. Ta-ta, and we will do this again soon. Sorry, I got to cut it at 2 hours. And
You crazy mother. Yeah.